Yeah, it's been a real complicated profession. Hard to trust when you don't ever know people's intentions. Keep it independent. When they try to stop you, say, nah, homie, this is the way. Hey, yeah, so legit. OG, call me Boba Fett. You a little Padawan kid, taking notes and sit. I hold my head up high, just repping for these comic nerds, cosplayers, gamer kids, movie nuts, what a world. Yeah, just used to think we don't exist, right? And now it's cool to like the things we always did, right? I would be mad, but if I think about it twice, I'm just happy that we're getting all this dope content. So I just keep it cool, honey bunny, deadly like a mace windu. When I'm playing Desert Rick, the only time I play by rules. In a different lane, I've been doing my thing, but just like Rocket, y'all been confusing me for Rabbit. Stop it.
Rabbit is correct and clearly the smartest among you.
I roll in solo, I'm stealing the show, that's Donald Glover. I pull the crossbow like Chewie and y'all should roll for cover. The bounty hunter in the game with these raps. I just get the puck, check the fob, take them out, secure the bag. Yeah, midichlorians course through the veins. I don't know what that means, they sure keep it vague. Wanna stop me, it's obvious you're insane. If you thinking that you ever gon' hit me with stormtrooper aim. Yeah, they calling me Death Star, I'm about to blow up. I may be cute, but I'm also deadly, that's Baby Yoda. I'm in the booth, give me time to reshoot. Now I'ma show you why they scared of me like Vader at the end of Rogue One. Hey, there ain't a beat I think I couldn't rip through. It's like I powered this microphone up with Kyber crystals. Firing missiles out the Falcon in this battle, and I'm about to take a slow to this universe. Call me Jon Favreau. Yeah, loving the light, but I'm really been feeling the dark entice me. I might go psycho, Kylo Palpatine, no falling Snoke. I'm grabbing a mic and thinking they got the skill. Step up and try me, I don't gotta be a fucking Jedi to force the show. Yeah, I think I found the droids you're looking for. We'll be at Comic-Con with all my people getting geeks. I'm like the Kevin Smith of rap, getting paid to tour. Talk about the shit I love and do it independently. So love the anime, Marvel, your favorite shows in DC. Anything to make you feel an escape from the stress. Do your thing, don't be afraid to be yourself, believe me. They can never hurt you with the best scar armor fit. Yeah, I've been paying all these dues. Amateurs, you couldn't last a day up in my shoes. Still there's people who've been praying that I lose, but like Mando's helmet, I will not be removed, no. I'm going Cara Dune, locked and loaded. Training like I'm Luke, always stay devoted, yeah. Waiting for the Mandalorian season 2 to drop. Until then, I've spoken.
This is the way. I have spoken. This is the way.
Hello, and welcome to Poptography. Tonight's edition of Movies That Inspired the Pop, we're actually going over Boba Fett, one of the biggest iconic characters in the Star Wars franchise, introduced in none other than Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot of hype built behind this character. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our special guest, none other than Eric from Sire Speed Reviews, who is, in my opinion, again, like I've been bringing a lot of guests, that these are some of the favorite characters that they have. So without further ado, let's bring on Eric.
What's up, Patrick?
Hey, what's going on, Eric?
Intro, man. I'm loving that intro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, man, of
for
course,
having
we
me.
had to do an episode, and we're going to go through probably these characters again as we go through each of the pops that, are inspired by movie scenes or TV series scenes. So tonight we're going to be discussing none other than Boba Fett gets his bounty, which was a Smugglers bounty exclusive. I know I have it. You don't have this one.
I don't have that one.
And this is a tough one to have gotten if you didn't have a subscription box, right? And I don't think a lot of people jumped on that early, and there were a lot of great pops in that way, that series of boxes, in that subscription box.
Right,
And
that's
this is definitely
amazing.
one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And with all that hype built behind the character of Boba Fett, I was really excited to do this one, just as much as I've been excited to collect all the various versions of Boba Fett, kind of like yourself,
Yeah.
Especially with the series. I think we've been just getting like Boba Fett, in every capacity,
Yeah.
which is cool, which is very cool.
Yeah, I've got most of my Funko Pops that I got from Boba Fett are from the Book of Boba Fett line.
Yeah, well, there's so many good ones, right? You have them with the helmet off, helmet on, 2 blasters, 1 blaster. You've got one of my
Tusken Rose.
favorites is that con exclusive with the gaffy
Yep.
stick
Yep.
and his Tuscan Raider robes. To me, I thought that was awesome.
That's so tough. It's such a different look to Boba Fett.
Yeah, and it really ties in that story, like, the in between, which I really like. Now, I did enjoy getting the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, and Grogu on a bantha, but I'll be honest, I really wanted Boba Fett on that bantha in his
Yeah.
robe and everything. That would have been really cool.
Yeah,
But
that's one that I'll definitely want to pick up.
yeah,
If I get my hands on.
I'm hoping. I mean, it's been rumored for a period of time that we were eventually going to see a Boba Fett on a Rancor, and we did get Grogu in the Rancor, which I have that one. But
Yeah.
and that's a great pop. I really love that Funko Pop, even though there's a major mistake with the Star Wars plate they kind of put on the backside, and when you see it, it's really weird because if you turn it with that plate on the front, you
Mhm.
don't even see you see the back of Grogu. So it's
Oh
definitely
yeah, the way it was designed is kind of
definitely a faux pas there on Funko's part in the
Yeah.
manufacturing plant. So, but it's still a great pop. And I really want to see, Fett on a Rancor. I mean, come on,
Imagine if it was a big jumbo
right?
Rancor.
Make
With
it a
Boba Fett on top.
soda. I don't know. Make it a case of soda if you had to do
Yeah.
something that big. I don't know.
Well, this is the closest thing I got to Boba Fett on the Rancor.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
See,
the magnet.
that's
soda.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is very awesome. I would love that. I would love that. So let's get into see what's going on in the chat, and then we'll take a look at the pop, and we'll chat again, and then we'll go take the look at the scene from the movie. All right.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Let's go see who we got in the chat. All right. Oh, there we go. Eric there. Sire Speed Reviews doing double duty. Let's go. And just welcoming everyone to our fun episode of Movies That Inspired a Pop this evening. And as you probably have already realized, this episode is about Boba Fett. So if you're a fan, this is your episode. Nice. We've got Christopher from Seriously Star Wars here. This is where the fun begins. Absolutely.
What's up, Cruz?
Absolutely. And Christopher, when I edit these clips, you'll notice that one of the answers to the trivia that we played on your fan battle is kind of captured in these scenes. So you'll get to see both of them. Kind of pretty cool. Hey, Patrick and Eric from Christopher. Cyrus Speed, this is the way. What's up, Chris from Eric? And what's up, Chris from Pat? So let's take a look at the pop we're talking about tonight, because this is a pretty cool one. All right. So it's number 280. I didn't realize this even had a number addition to this one, but is what they considered a movie moment. Boba gets his bounty, and it is awesome.
So for the movie moments, do they normally put a number onto it, or
I think they did, but I think when they started with some of these larger ones, they didn't have numbers at some point, and they just had like a title. But I do believe they've kind of given numbers from some point on, but I couldn't recall if this one had a number or not until I saw the pic of it again. But this, I thought when they did this pop, it is absolutely phenomenal. Like, because in my opinion, you're getting two pops for one on this one, right? You're getting Boba Fett and you're getting Han and Carbonite. Now, the Han and Carbonite, the head doesn't bobble, it's just flat and everything, but really great pop. Really,
that's the other pop that has the bobbles, the head bobbles for Han.
Yeah, because I have the 40th anniversary Han and the Carbonite, and the head does kind of bobble within that Carbonite block. But on this one here, I actually have it here. He bobbles, but this guy has no bobble. Han has no bobble, which is fine. But I love the deco of the floor and everything, what they did to this. I mean, really great detail. Again, one of those earlier Funko Pops that I felt had so much detail going on in it. An iconic scene, iconic character, one that had so much mystique and lore. So when
they captured the moment of that pop,
this was
beautiful,
absolute fire.
Even to the orange looking the floors.
Absolutely.
That look.
And I actually took an image of this, and maybe I'll pull that up later. I will see. But what was really cool is because it had the floor and the whole Carbonite and everything, it really made for a fun image to photograph this one when I put this on the set, because I used the virtual volume, which is my virtual backdrop of nothing more than an image on my computer monitor. a little lighting to kind of make it situational, so it looked like it was photographed under the conditions of the background image, and I think I had a little nano mister for a little fog coming in, and dude, it came out so good that I end up finding another similar backdrop, and I say similar because it actually was completely different, same scene but different. Um, Different background, you know, a little bit of the change of that carbonite freezing chamber. And I shot the Ugnaught because I got that 3-pack and I always thought, man, he is so underrated. He's such a cool looking dude. So, and it was just like, you know, I photographed Fett. Let's put him on the set. Let's get the Ugnaught up there. So I had to, you know, easily just convert right over to that one.
I gotta see the image.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of other fans, I know you're one of the bigger Fett fans I know. I mean, besides my brother-in-law, he is huge fan. He lives in like Mechanicsburg area, right near Harrisburg, PA.
Okay.
And he actually went to his optometrist, somehow had a friend connection to Jeremy Bullock, and got him to sign when he went to Disney. He got like a Boba Fett stein, if you will, but it's plastic. The head will pop, you could drink on it. He had him sign that. And months later, he's gone. You know, you couldn't have predicted that, but what an awesome thing. And I know you're a huge Fett fan, so
yeah, that was a sad
yeah.
day.
What got you into Boba Fett, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh man, since I was a kid, it was just the whole mystique about him, who he was, who's this guy in the helmet. So it was like we had Vader, we had Boba Fett, so those automatically attracted. You know, I was interested in both of them. Who are these characters?
Yeah.
So it's Boba Fett and Darth Vader. So Darth Vader is my next favorite character. So it was always that mystique about who he was. He had very, very little lines, like 5 lines throughout the whole movie.
Yes.
I mean, throughout the whole, you know, we had, you know, all 3 movies. So, you know, until they, you know, they digitally digitally enhanced him for A New Hope. So they added him on A New Hope. So when they added him,
special edition, they added him. Yeah. Because they got rid of the original actor that played Jabba, because that's why that scene got cut. It wasn't what that was envisioned. So it got cut, which you completely understand when you kind of see it. And then the way they rotoscoped it, I thought was kind of funny, because Han kind of walks behind Jabba, who was an actor. So how do you do that? Well, he's got this tail. So you kind of see that's
pretty clever.
That was pretty slick, you know.
Go on. No, the first version we got of Jabba the Hutt. Oh, he was terrible looking.
Yeah.
So they redigitalized him again and made him look a lot better.
Yeah, he looked like Play-Doh, or he was awful. I mean, you could have put the Kenner toy in there, and it would have been a better job. But
it was awesome to see when they added Boba Fett onto A New Hope.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, because you got a little teaser of who you're going to see later, right? Like this guy, why is he breaking the fourth wall and looking at the audience? Like, that was kind of a neat little thing I thought they played, back then. But yeah, I mean, for me, when I was a child, I did the mail-in of your points off your figures, of your card back. So as a kid, I don't think we thought about collecting them other than to play with them. Like, you wanted them all because you wanted to play them, but you didn't think about keeping them in the package. And that wasn't a thing when I was a kid. But we were cutting those cards up anyway, the card backs, to get the points so that you can get figures like a Boba Fett, who was a mail away. And I remember it was right around that Christmas time. And I had done the mail away, and I get this thing back, and it was right around Christmas, or like post-Christmas, I guess it was getting released, because around Christmas time, someone in a department store, the kids are playing with the Battlestar Galactica, and they had, I think it was the Cylon Raider ship, and the kids shot that missile and choked to death.
Oh yeah,
when that happened, that kind of changed the toy industry very quickly, very abruptly, and when they had to change that, so obviously the famed Boba Fett with the J or the L on the back that would let it fire never really released, which is kind of interesting.
They did have some prototypes, and they did have some working prototypes, but I think they destroyed like nearly all the other ones that were that they had.
There's a lot of collectors out there. I don't know where I saw it, but it was like celebrity collections, and what's his name? Now Rick Springfield. is huge Star Wars
Oh, I
fan,
didn't know that.
huge Boba Fett fan. He has the most expensive Boba Fett figure in his collection,
Nice.
like the rarest. I think it's one of the ones that shoot. Like he's got like
Mhm.
the
Well, there's
like
a couple out there.
killer graded, like yeah, like he's got it. I'm like, God damn it, that guy.
Yeah.
He made a
He
lot of
has
money off
everything. He's
that
got.
song, huh?
Yeah, no, I had no idea that Rick Springfield was Rick
Yeah,
Springfield,
I
right?
thought that was crazy when I saw it. Like, I was like, "Why?" Like, it was just so random. But then I was like,
Mhm.
maybe kind of appreciate him a little bit more. I was like, "What a cool guy!" Like,
Yeah.
he's a Star Wars fan. Loves Fett. Got one of the holiest grails in the 3 1/4 figure line ever. So kind of cool. And I also watched that other guy, the Padawan collector, who does a
Yeah.
pretty serious job on collecting
Oh
and
yeah.
gathering facts about collecting 3 1/4 inch, especially that vintage line. Really,
Mhm.
I really do love his channel because he just is so informative. And he's not afraid either to say, hey, you know what? I got ripped off. I got screwed over. And I bought these and someone got broken. Like,
Yeah.
he had the Burger King glasses. I mean, he's just a great guy and he's a great resource.
He
And
shares information of what worked for him and what didn't work for him, and what to look out for.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
subscribed to his channel.
I know he had this big Kenner book. I don't know if he was a part of it or he just highlighted it, but it's like if you're a 3 1/4 vintage collector, this book, I mean, shit, I don't collect them. I'd love to, have enough money to do the Funko, do those, do the Black
Yeah.
Series, Hot Toys, all that,
Hot
Sideshow.
Toys.
Love those things. But like that's out of my price range. And the reason I got into Funko is because I didn't go down the rabbit hole of the 3 1/4 inch. I have a few here and
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
But it was just something fun. Again, it was like, hey, I need something at my desk. I have nothing in my shooting space. So that's how it kind of started.
Yeah. I this actually I have one of my oldest 3 3/4. It's the Boba Fett. This is the Power of the Galaxy. This is an old figure and it's really bad shape, but this is one of those things I always wanted, and I purchased this one when I was, man, I have no earthly idea.
See, one of these days I'm gonna
When it
chase
came
my
out,
old-
when this came out new. So every move that I've done is like it shows on the package. Every little thing that it's been with me for
the
a
hell
long
I'm back,
time.
man.
Yeah. So this is one of my oldest figures that I had with me.
Is there something? Now, let me ask you, because there is a grail on my list. Is there any one Star Wars collectible, whether figure, a vehicle, whatever, Funko, that you never got that you always wanted? For me, it was I could never have the Millennium Falcon. Now I had two friends, two brothers, Jimmy and Michael.
Mhm.
That, they had it, and they had a lot of the other stuff that I didn't have. And, we all would combine, have giant Star Wars battles, but the Millennium Falcon escaped my collection. And so it was probably the most expensive thing at the price point. We were
Mhm.
poor as hell growing up when we were young. So
Yeah. Same
that
here.
to me is kind of like I never got. So when they did the HasLab of the Razor Crest, at first I was like, man, I wanted the Ghost, but I'll take the Razor Crest. And my wife's like, do you really have to have it? It's like 300 for somebody. I was like, honey, let me tell you a story about a young boy who never got that one ship he wanted.
There you go. Take it
So
to heart.
she's like, all right, go get it. So then when the Ghost was coming out, Tony was doing a live stream, and she's like, you didn't order the Ghost, did you? I was like, nah, I didn't do that. And also Tony goes, you hear on live stream, Pat backed it. And she goes, it was like a quick enter. And I was like, oh,
Must be another Pat.
that's exact. Oh no, he called it. Oh, Pop Dogger. I was like, oh shit.
Oh, he called you out.
But he didn't know. He didn't know.
Yeah, he had no
It
idea.
was funny as shit how quick her head whipped around. What I thought you said that? Well, I couldn't pass up on it. Like that was the ship I wanted before the Razor Crest, but they gave her. I didn't know if they were gonna make it, so I took at the Razor Crest because I always wanted one of those big fucking ships, man. As a kid, and now I can have that. I can afford. I can buy it myself. So yeah. So I did back the Ghost too. So back to you. Was there a collectible like that like you didn't get as a kid that either you want it or you're still wanting to get now, or you bought something else because of that same kind of hang up like the rest of the development I had?
Well, I mean, not really, but there is something I would love to get back again. I had back in the early or mid 90s, I had the Rebel Millennium Falcon, the actual build. the Millennium Falcon was pretty big. I built it. I did everything myself and weathered it and everything. And within moves and stuff like that, I ended up breaking it, and I don't have it anymore. So the only thing I have now is a satellite. So I'd love to get that one again, and I'm not sure how much those things are going for, and I would love to rebuild the Millennium Falcon again. But I love Hot Toys. If I can get my hands on the Boba Fett Hot Toys, that'd be kind of
dreamy. That'd be dreamy. I'm gonna take a look. We got some comments from Seriously Star Wars. I don't have that pop yet. Yeah, that's a cool one. If you can find it in the wild, obviously it's not in the wild, but you're going to probably find it at your collection stores. If you go to any of those cons at Edmonton Toy Show, someone's going to turn up with one that they're going to.
Yeah, I've seen them on eBay too. So
yeah,
out there.
New camera setup, Eric.
No, actually, I'm just using my laptop. Yeah, so no new camera here.
Boba is my number 2, Christopher said from Seriously Star Wars. Yeah, well, his
After
favorite
Maul.
is Maul. Yeah, after Maul. But Maul got up there quick in the rise of like kick-ass characters in my list too. Question for Eric: how do you feel about them replacing the OG Boba voice with Tamara Morrison?
I do remember the OG Boba Fett's voice. I do remember but at the same time, I like the fact that it's all linked now. So you've got the shows, you got in the Book of Boba Fett, you got the movies now. So you have Boba Tamara Morrison's voice and all of it. So I do remember, but at the same time, it didn't bother me. I'm okay with it.
I hear you. I didn't mind that either, but you'll see, I edited it with the original voice.
Okay.
Being
nice.
Going back to my old school route,
Yeah.
Pop the bounty click, Ricky. What's up? Ricky, said Christopher. Pop the bounty, Christopher. What's up, my Canadian brother? Nice. Look at all the love we got in the chat. Fist bumps going around. Eric needs to get that Boba Fett Unleashed figure. Ooh.
I know.
Yeah,
man. I know. I do want that, man. The details on that. I was so amazed how they have the jetpack being the base part of the base, and then it has the Sarlacc.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be one. That'll probably be one of the earlier ones I get, because I think I'm gonna have to get a few of them because they do look fucking fantastic. Pardon the French,
beautiful,
but they are.
I don't collect those, but I will make space here for that.
Yeah, there's a couple. Like, I know Tony recently got like the Anakin and Obi-Wan. Those are fire. Christopher's got some killer ones. The Emperor. He's turned me on. Like, I saw them, kind of out of the peripherals in the collectible stores and hobby shops, but I never got one. And now I'm like, damn, I should pick some of those up. They were.
I've never actually seen one in real life, and actually haven't never seen one in real life. So. It's probably a good thing I didn't, because I probably would spend my money all of it on it.
Heck, I need to get the Boba Fett Unleashed figure. Christopher wants to get that himself.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys? Says Ricky. What's up, Ricky? It's nice to have Ricky here. Ricky was on a previous episode where we did Darth Vader.
Yep.
That's something that eventually I'm going to do, like a Darth Vader, a mask kind of thing, from Return of the Jedi, and do a movies that inspire with that one. But one of the things, kind of like we were just talking about how they brought Tamara Morrison back in that scene, I hope one day we do someone some justice. I don't really want to see Sebastian Shaw there. I don't, especially if we replaced him as the ghost with Anakin, with Hayden Christensen. I want David Prowse, and someone did a fan project where they refilmed that scene with David Prowse.
Wow.
And I'd rather
that would have been.
He had his issues with Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
it's David Prowse. Come on, the guy's gone. Let's give him some honor and praise for the part that he played. I mean, I don't think that many people had that stature and all that to pull it off and be as menacing. I just putting on the costume isn't the end of it, right? You've got to portray something with really you can't see a face. So it's all movement and the way you carry yourself. And David Prowse, man, he was awesome, man. I'd love to see
he was. Yeah, it's unfortunate, that he never mended anything with George Lucas, and it just kind of just.
I'm so surprised, and honestly, I think they should do something with it. What is it? posthumously or something, like after they
Mhm.
pass.
Yeah.
They should do something. They really should. Like I hope in my lifetime at some point they do something and hook him up, because he to me he is Darth Vader. He was Darth Vader. You know, I've
Yep.
got one as the voice, the other is the man who wore the suit, right? So
Yep. So he
but
was on Clockwork Orange.
what's
That
that?
movie, Clockwork Orange. He was on that movie,
Yeah.
right?
Now, since we're talking about Boba Fett, before we get to our scene, I wanted to pull out some other pops that I had, just a few. So Boba Fett being such an iconic character, and really not in the movies, as you mentioned, he's only in a few short scenes, and probably
Yeah.
most of them we're going to see in the scenes that I edited,
Yeah.
right? But like that I look at, well, we see him use the jetpack and Jabba's gifts. That's kind of Return of Jedi. You kind of get him in the Slave One, which is a nice one, right?
That's an awesome one.
But the other things I've noticed when you look at these pops, and even Boba gets his bounty, right? You don't have the detailing that you get on the one that I know you have, and that I have too, from the Bounty Hunter collection. This good boy.
Let me get him down real quick.
Yeah, this bad boy has a lot of detail, in this one.
Yeah.
I love all the metallic scratches and weathering, the dents. It looks a lot better with that silver accent in that.
Yep.
They
Right
did a
there.
killer job.
Yeah. they
And
did
what
a
I didn't
amazing
even
job.
notice until recently, right? Because I'm getting ready for this episode. So I'm looking at this guy sitting on my desk, and I'm looking at this bad boy over here. Let me grab this Boba Fett. I have so many. I've got the die cast, I've got all the ones from the new Boba Fett series. But I got this guy, not this Black Friday, but last year on Black Friday.
That one is killer.
I walked out with this guy for like $50.
That's
Like
a steal. You
GameStop,
stole
it
it.
was on sale for like 70, 75. Then I had coupons and this and that. It was for 50. I had to get this guy.
Man, it looks like it would probably be the size of an actual helmet you could probably put on.
Almost.
That's crazy.
But when I noticed tonight, it's the same thing, but 18 inches. It's the
Oh
same
yeah, it is. Dude, that's pretty cool. It actually is the same pop.
I didn't never realize that. But I noticing all the detail. I'm like, man, this is one of the more detailed Boba Fett's. And I was like, I know this guy's. And I looked over and I'm like, wait a second. I did like a Scooby-Doo. What? So always excited to get a character that we all as a fandom find very iconic, very cool, very collected. Boba Fett, for goodness sakes. Yeah. He's a franchise just of his own, right? So I think some people might have been a little disappointed when we got to see Boba Fett return after you saw him in The Mandalorian. Then he got his own show. I think it didn't kick as much butt as Mandalorian, right? And it showed when Mandalorian shows up in an episode and he just steals your show from you.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, because when Boba Fett came on in the Mando and he had the dum 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 dum, that music is like psh, psh, just taking stormtroopers out. I was like, whoa, Boba Fett is back.
Yeah.
And that was
awesome.
awesome.
Amazingly funny. Got into his helmet, his armor, man.
That was.
Then he still had the Tuscan robes underneath there.
Loved how he combined the two there. It was freaking awesome. And we still haven't got that as a Funko, the armor and that. We have like him with where it's kind of more of that black kind of under tunic, but not with the robe with that. That would be cool.
And I like the fact that he brought his traditional, was it the Haka style, kind of like the style of fighting or the dancing that they do.
Because he's pretty cool, Polynesian or something, correct? Yeah. I think that was really cool, and it really showed when he was moving that gaffy stick around. Like it really showed, and his gaffy stick, I think, took it to another level based on his own culture and heritage. So
they have their own like style of a gaffy stick, something similar.
Yeah, and I know someone from his native people or tribe is like a really skilled wood carver and carved a Fett helmet completely out of like a really exotic wood and then etched into the wood all this intricate like flowery detail. Dude, insane. I think it was on like StarWars.com at some point.
I got it.
You got to see that. It is it'll blow your mind away. Blow your mind away. So why don't we get into the scene? Kind of what we're here for, right? Well, let's take a look at the scene. We'll kind of just we'll get flashback right into our 5-year-old selves, and we'll be all like, woo! And then when we're done, we'll kind of discuss, kind of talk about Fett a little bit more, talk about our love for Fett. We'll check with the chat, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right?
Good.
All right. Let's get that pulled up here. All right, my friend. I'm going to turn the volume up a little.
Those subtle movements.
Lord Vader, you may take Captain Solo to Jabba the Hutt after I have Skywalker.
He's no good to me dead.
He will not be permanently damaged, buddy.
You're being put into carbon freeze.
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
The Empire will compensate you if he dies. Women!
Your strength. There'll be another time.
Calrissian, did he survive?
Yes, he's alive. And in perfect hibernation.
He's all yours, bounty hunter. Reset the chamber for Skywalker.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Awesome. Just
Beautiful.
awesome. Like,
Beautiful.
come on.
Man.
I mean, the guy's barely in the
does.
movie, but he just has this presence of badass.
Yeah, the original voice does. It sounds really good.
Right? It
Not to take
it
away
brings
from
it back
Tamara
to-
Morrison, but
Yeah, it brings me right back to where I was, and it's different, but I do like that connective tissue they added later. You know, I don't mind that. I think where I get upset is like stuff like McClunky, right?
Yeah.
Never needed to change that. I don't think anyone really cares. Han shot fur, whatever, all that. He's a gunslinger. The part of it, him kind of being shady. They're not going to go back and re-edit the beginning of Andor when he shoots the guy in the back, right? So to me, it doesn't make sense. That's just me. They edited for no reason.
that was needless.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Any more extra
Han
scenes?
shot first.
I'll take them. Like the loading in the cargo, the beautiful. Love that because I think we only got an even small snippet in the theater release. So when they re-released that and they got that scene, that was kind of nice. I did like that.
I just love the whole scenery. How it started off with, you have the what are they called, those little guys, the little
Ugnaughts.
dude, you said it, Ugnaughts. How it all started with the little Ugnaughts, and it's so, the whole look of the place, and then the lighting of it, and then when they lowered her down.
I love
Leia's
the lighting
face
in that
was
room.
lit up.
Blue and the orange.
Oh man, you felt the horror that was going on.
Yeah, and that blue and the orange. To me,
Oh, yeah.
it made such a difference in that. I don't know why or what it is, but I think those colors really balance each other. And it's something when I lived in Arizona going to college at U of A, in Tucson, you get beautiful sunsets. And so one of the things I always loved is I had like a blue light in my room. And I would turn it on, and I lived in a guest house, so I'd leave the door open, and I had the blue light, but I'd have the nice warm orange glow, gorgeous sunsets going on. And I hung out in my guest house and backyard all the time because I just loved it. And it became a color combination, that warm and cold play that I've always kind of loved. And I loved, and I don't know many, again, I'm being a film guy. I love lighting and stuff like that. So I'm dissecting every scene of a movie for that. So when they did Force Awakens and the Rey and Kylo Ren scene, where you had blue and red, more so than you ever had, like with Kenobi.
And then you had the white, the snow.
Yeah.
And then the glow from the sabers.
It had that same feel that I got from that lighting of that situation of that scene. Big time. I was like, oh.
And when they were like struggling to hold each other from with the lightsabers. That scene right there, and shows their back.
And the close-ups with the blades.
Yeah.
Great scene. Great scene. We'll have to,
That's
I'll have to do an episode just on that.
that's one thing about Star Wars. It's always started off with, of course, George Lucas, with imagery, colors, lighting, the way everything's set. It just brings your attention. I mean, it just captivates you. So
Oh,
I
God,
love those things.
Now, are you a book collector as well? Do you do some of the art of Star Wars books and stuff like that?
No, I don't. No, I don't have many books at all. I do have a couple, but not. I have Return of the Jedi. I have the what is it? The Scholastic book.
Nice.
Yeah, but a few other books, but nothing as like the gallery books.
Yeah, I have. So I have the Sideshow collectible book from like a year or two ago.
Wow.
That inspired. That was one of the things like during COVID that inspired. I got it right around COVID time. Like, stuck. There's a sale. I got it, and I can't ever afford the real deals. But if I bought the book, I felt like, well, I've got them all, in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I loved how each of the photographers that were hired to shoot it, phenomenal work. And I get inspiration by looking at that. I have, I think one of the Father's Day or Christmases, the kids got me the artwork for The Force Awakens, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw on Will from Padawan Pops came across, and I looked for this. I was like Galaxy's Edge, and they didn't have. They must have been sold out when I was there. But they had the concept and artwork for Galaxy's Edge, and that's a book I want to get.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool. And then two others. I've always wanted that one with all the original Ralph McQuarrie art.
Oh yes, I love his artwork, man.
Absolutely.
You can see especially Boba Fett's the designs of it.
Yeah, it was designed originally like a stormtrooper. They just could never afford to build that many of them.
Yeah, the Imperial Super Commando, and there's another one that the Boba Fett concept Funko Pop. I believe that's one.
Yeah, and
man.
They are beautiful, man. And Funko's done a great job trying to capture those as well. Like one of the things that I did enjoy in all those Boba Fetts, I don't know if I have it ready to grab. I do. Hold on. Was when they did the bait. Did you get this one? It was that bait exclusive.
Oh no, I did not get that one.
This one's pretty fire because he's in that hospital blue color.
Yeah,
much like the action figure, which this is one of those ones you get, in my opinion, a collector's going to get for the nostalgia, right? Because it harkens you right back to your 3 1/4-inch vintage Kenner figures. And that for me, and I keep thinking how I want to shoot that. Like, oh, I want to shoot this. And, well, no, because I have Fett the way he's intended to look on screen and shoot him in the various pops, shoot him to kind of be in a scene.
Mm-hmm.
But for that one, I've been toying around with, do I actually construct a bubble and shoot them in the bubble and then and literally maybe do a card back and do that? That might be a project I might do over the summer. Like a card back and a bubble, and maybe even just literally put Velcro on the bubble or something so I can pop them off and on.
That'd be kind of cool.
I want to do something like that where I shoot it so it looks like one of the original figures you got as a kid. I thought that would be kind of cool to make him look like he's a card back figure. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, here's the book that I was talking about.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've had it in this little plastic thing for a while just to keep it
getting messed up.
Yeah,
I gave a bunch of my kid books to my niece, Star Wars books that I had gotten them from my kids, but somewhere in one of the boxes at my parents' house, I've got like a box full of cassette tapes. And I know in there I have somewhere the original cassette tapes from when I was a kid, the little storybook, where you hear R2 and turn the page.
Mm-hmm.
I have the cassette tapes for Star Wars and stuff that somewhere in there. I got to find it. It's with the, down with MTV singles, when they had single cassettes.
I do remember the cassettes, but I remember some of the little books that they would have when they had the cassettes and had the book inside the cassettes. Yep. But I don't remember any of the one you're talking about, the kids one.
Yeah, I got that. Dude, I was knee high to a grasshopper when I have it. So I know the book's long gone.
Yeah,
I had the cassette tape somehow. It got saved. I don't know, but it's somewhere. And I just had one of my coworkers came in and it's like, hey, I got something for you. He hands me this USB drive. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, do you ever listen to NPR? Yeah, I listen to NPR. He goes, no, like back in the day when they did the original Star Wars radio broadcast. I
Oh,
said,
with the sound and everything, we did the
I
voice
said,
acting.
no, yeah. He goes, well, I have all 3 episodes from
Oh,
NPR. He
wow.
went to the library. This guy is a film connoisseur, right? So he used to be a projectionist for AMC theaters back in the day and managed the theaters. Cool guy, and nerdy like me, right? So it was just so nice that he just out of random nowhere pulled up with that. It's like, hey, here. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, how the heck did you get a hold of this? He goes, I was at the library and they were recently converting all their original stuff to digital. And I happened to just inquire, like, well, where were they with NPR? And like, oh, we had just finished this year and this year, like batches. And he's like, oh, do you happen to have the radio broadcast of the Star Wars? We're like, yeah, let's take a look. And they had it, and he's got all of them now. So pretty
Totally
cool.
nice.
Really, that was one of those like, I made my workday so much better because at my workday I deal with everybody else's issues. That's all I deal with, is someone else's issues. So when someone does that, it's like, yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I can
know.
imagine something that you hear as a kid, and now you have it again in your hand.
Yeah, I do remember listening because it's like, you know how you remember pieces. I remember listening to it, but I don't remember. I think it was over like many like that first one was like a month long, maybe. Like you tuned in, it was like kind of like when you see A Christmas Story and you hear their kid listen to Little Orphan Annie. I think when NPR had it, like every kid clamored to a radio just to hear NPR to hear this, you know. And it was like for a couple of weeks, I thought like an hour or two for a couple of weeks.
How long were the segments? You said an hour?
Probably about an hour. So it was felt like it was a month, but I could be wrong. But I felt like when I was listening to them, that's what it was. And I think sometimes we get lost and confused, kind of like Mandela effect, right? Because you hear and the visuals and the audio that you get kind of gets mixed up, because I do in my head remember Luke grabbing the binoculars, looking up and seeing the starfight happen. I could swear that I remembered that scene with the little hat on and everything, you know.
Oh yeah, just
and they end up making a Black series. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going crazy. Like that.
I saw that. I saw that on the internet. It's like one of those like the deleted scenes or something like that.
Yeah,
and it has
remember that. And when I first saw Star Wars, the big scene was in it. The whole scene with the black cape, him, you know, at Tashi Station, that was in it. It wasn't something that I eventually saw later. It was in it, and I had a children's book that had those pictures of that scene and the reading of it. It was there. So I totally remember that first time. Now, not long after I saw that movie, I probably saw the original 10 times in the theater back then. You know, like that was like a gospel to me. I was like, I gotta go see that again and again and again. So I do remember later not seeing it and kind of like thought I was imagining it, but I would go home and it's in my book, like it's in the book. So I understand. I'm in being such a older school fan. I was one of those kids that got, you know, the Christmas gift of an envelope that said, not today, not on Christmas, but soon you're gonna get a couple figures. And I'm like, I totally was so bullshit. I remember looking at this fucking cardboard envelope, the early bird package, and going, fuck is this? Like as a kid going like, it was like socks. It was such a tease. Like Star Wars. And I could see these figures, and it came with the stand of what you're going to eventually get as a collection. Like, wow, this is going to be cool. But like to get a promise of a toy on Christmas, it was like so weird. And my mom said, I remember when I got it, she's like, I know you think Santa, it's a weird thing from Santa, but don't worry, your gift will come later. And it was right around March, was my birthday, is when they actually released. So it kind of felt like I still got them as a gift, you know, but that's when they finally showed up, the first 4. And for years I was telling my college buddies, because they were huge fans too. And I'm like, yeah, I had like the early bird thing. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the early bird. Like your parents went to the toy store, like we had Kitty City. It was kind of like a Toys R Us. They went, they signed up and prepaid, and they got an envelope shipped. And he's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, the early bird." They thought I was crazy. And then there's some, and this is long before YouTube. Some video came out, and they saw it, and immediately I get calls from the two roommates from college. They're like, "Dude, we just saw the early bird thing. We always just yesed you along after a while, thinking that you were full of shit, but like it's a real thing." I was like, "I told you guys, it's a real thing." And then when they did that Black Series kind of reintroduction of Darth Vader, I actually have that with that early bird packaging. Left it in the box, never opened it, and
cool.
This is the way I'm going to keep that, man.
Nostalgia.
Yeah,
nostalgic, very nostalgic. Yeah, Tony was saying in one of his videos that was like when he went to London, they didn't even have any figures. So I'm assuming that's how it felt like for you whenever you got an envelope. You're like, okay, well, what is this?
Yeah,
you have the opportunity to purchase one, but it's going to be like later on.
Yeah,
like, what is this?
And that was the other thing. I think that was something that got me into collecting as a kid, not realizing like how fun and part of your life that was. So for us, we lived in this really crappy, really shitty area outside Philadelphia called Marcus Hook. It's an oil refinery town, dude. Like that, we were poor when we started, when I was young. And then, my parents really worked hard to, get out of that, and we did what we did and moved on. And I harken back to those days because, I only had like a square radius of where, these are the boundaries you're allowed to not go beyond. Don't go by the train tracks and all these things that we did.
Oh, we went by the train tracks.
I played on the train tracks all the time. But there was a set of train tracks you don't play on because the one time I took my sister, oh my God, my parents are watching. They're going to freaking kill me. We were walking, and instead of going over the bridge, we cut across the tracks. And these are the high-speed Amtrak lines. And my sister's saddle shoe got caught. I'm like, fuck it, leave your shoe. I fucking ripped her out of the track, fucking left the shoe, and the train flew by like 2 minutes later. And I had to go back in her shoe. Shoe was still there, blew down the tracks a little bit, but I got it. It was beat up a little bit, nothing major.
Your mom didn't know about that.
Yeah, well, she's right now. But yeah. But when we had that little vicinity, one of the things, there's like these refineries, and BP or somebody at that time, and we would walk, and I don't even know how long it is. I probably should Google map it and see, but it was like walking to Mecca to get to this Toy Kitty City. It was like our address.
Now that's the thing. When you're a kid, it's like it just feels like it takes forever to get anywhere because of your little legs.
Honestly, it took like an hour or two. One way to walk it. And but you'd walked it. And I remember saving up my change in like a shaving dop kit, just dumping it in there. And I'd get all my pennies and I'd put them into like a Ziploc bag and I'd stuff in my pocket. So I'd be walking and hear ching, ching, ching. But it kind of reminded me of a cowboy with Spurs, right? Like Boba Fett Spurs, right? You're on a man on a mission. You're ching, 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 and you're doing that for like 2 hours there, 2 hours back, walking. And again, we're kids. We're not supposed to be walking this road like out of the neighborhood completely into another city town, but we did. And that's, and I think back then it was like $3 for an action figure, right? So we would save up our pennies and, go up, make that trek. And some days they were fruitful. It was like the collector gods rained their sunshine upon you. You're like, there it is, right on the peg. Like it was meant for you. It was your day. Then there's those many a day you make that trek. And you come home with that change still in your pocket, back inside your leg, and you're bitter because it wasn't there. And that happened for what things did we collect as kids? I think it was the Star Wars was major. That was that. G.I. Joe was another one. G.I. Joe figures were another one. And I had some, but I wasn't really into the Master Universe. My friends, I
love Master Universe.
And I had some of them. I wasn't as into them. I kind of rather the G.I. Joe and the Star Wars because I think figure-wise, I had so many like toys and playset things that they work together. Like I even had the MASH action figures with the 407 7th, but they were undercover for Cobra and the Imperials. So like, yeah, you popped open the swamp and like a helicopter would pull, roll out, or something like that. I think Blue Thunder is Cobra Commander's personal helicopter. I like the Blue Thunder. My uncle that worked. I think he still works for. He's one of the head accountants for NYU, or head of that department there, and he actually still works for my grandfather. Used to work at A&P and be like a district manager. So my uncle, as a kid, would stock shelves, do whatever, working for my grandfather, and then kept the job doing the books when he was at NYU to have golf money. So now he has two like full-time jobs with 2 pensions. Killer, man. But he threw me in the pool one time. I think he had enough of me bothered him, and he tossed me in the pool without bathing trunks. And the girl next door was like watching from her porch, like she thought it was hilarious, and I was so embarrassed. So his girlfriend is there. You see, I was like so pissed. And his girlfriend was like, I can't believe you did that. It was so embarrassing. And I was like, I'm not talking to you. He's like, what do I have to do to make up to you? He's like, and I looked at him, I said, Blue Thunder. And he goes, what? I said, 2 words, Blue Thunder. And he goes, what the hell's that? That's a movie. I said, I saw the movie. I went to Copter.
Oh yeah, I remember the helicopter. Yeah.
I made him take him and his girlfriend took me to the store to go get it because I was so pissed. And he felt so guilty. I was mortified. But like in my collection days, like at some point, your Star Wars, your G.I. Joe, they all played together. You know, it was an expansive world with imagination, you know, as kids. And I do find it funny because with my kids, as they were growing up, you know, when my son was kind of old enough to appreciate like an action figure, I think I got him his first figure as a Darth Vader. I said, come on, the first action figure, Darth Vader, 100%. And they didn't really be kind of, and didn't really play it. He was more in the plush as a kid. And for a long time was majorly in the plush, you know, would play and create with them, kind of what I would an action figure with plushes, whatever. But I don't know. I just think harkening back to our days as kids when you had to, I mean, you had journeys like that. Come on, you had to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The thing is with me, it was like my cousin, my grandma raised my cousin, and he got all the cool toys. He had the Knight Rider kit. He had a bunch of Godzilla figures, everything. He had every cool toy that came out. And I was like, you know, we were like really tight on money. So like a lot of things that we did was because of our imagination. And I think that was like, I think that's awesome. When I look back now, I'm like,
I had the Death Star. I had that 3-tier Death Star. That was a big deal for me as a kid. Yeah. And I played with that 24/7. But then the Death Star wasn't enough. So like your parents' coffee tables and end tables. And if they opened up, well, that's a fortress in there. So rearranging the TV guides and all the book, you know, the Reader's Digest books in there. And they become daises for your figures. Like, but that's what we did. Like I took my old Star Wars lunch pails. You get a new one the next year. So the old one I'd bury in the yard and keep my figures. And then you'd forget about them. And, you know, a year later, you're, you know, out playing football or Nerf, and you get tackled and you're like, oh, what was that? I remember, oh, it's my lunch pail. You open up, hey, there's
all your figures in there.
Yeah, there's figures you haven't seen in like 3 years buried in there. But that's again, that's what we did. We played, we enjoyed them, and I think that is such a big part of, you know, developing. And that was one thing I kind of realized when I got to work my contract at Hasbro, photographing, is I got to help kids play and grow, you know, by having my passion become my job. And now I came full circle where I'm actually shooting the packages or the figures for these things. To me, it was like, I was meant to be here. Like I trust me, if I could go back and it wasn't contract, it was just full time, I'd go back in a heartbeat. It was a fun job. I really enjoyed it. All the people I worked with were super creative, really good. Had this guy Corey, his little studio space next to me, this other girl Nicole. They were phenomenal. They are all phenomenal. And one of the other girls that used to do like photo production work, she was like a producer. She was just rock star and super nice. And it was funny because we had to look for props and stuff. And we went upstairs, they had this whole level of boxes of stuff they use for props. And I look at these boots, I'm like, and I'm sizing them up. I'm like, she's like, try them on. I'm like, dude, they had like people like Obi-Wan costume, like full on,
no way.
The boots, the cut. I'm like,
No way.
Yeah, I was trying. But it was just to me, it was really cool, you know. And I think I didn't do too much Star Wars in there. I think I got to play around with I got to play around when they grew Boba Fett. He just came hot off the press and just got painted. And we were trying to shoot him, and it was my buddy Corey, and we were playing around trying to shoot him. And I remember his like arm where his cape was, because he wasn't like a finished product. He was kind of like just for us to photograph so they can get the real one, you know, the mass produced ones done faster and send that to final design with the paint scheme and everything as a proof of concept. But we got to shoot it first, and dude, it was cool. You know, that was like, yeah, you know, shooting like the Ewok little catapult, like that was cool. You know, I got to shoot a lot of Iron Man stuff. That was I think it was like Iron Man 3 where it had Iron Patriot in there.
Okay, yeah.
Because I photograph a lot of him, those little the galactic heroes in the Star Wars line, but I don't know what Marvels are called, but they're something heroes. But they're little stocky guys, rubbery guys, figures. I shot a ton of those. But it was cool because I learned a whole new way of lighting where you do multiple exposures. And you like, oh, I want to shoot for a highlight on the side of the helmet here, and I want to shoot it so it combs across and get some of the detail in the chest. And then you would take those maybe 5-7 shots and you'd combine them all in one final shot. And I did one of a Yoda figure when I was there. And again, it was a new technique that they had learned and came up with for the style, because every brand has its style. Like Sesame Street, especially, you get a lot of plush with that. So you have to shoot it with a grid because it gets into the hair and the highlight and contrast and the little things like that. You kind of learn very quickly, you know, shooting the packaging, because sometimes we have to shoot the package in the bubble and how to light that so you're not just getting this just white reflection back at you from the lights, you know. So there's a lot of cool stuff I learned there. But it was just, for me, being surrounded by like-minded people that love collecting, love the different brands that you're photographing. It was great. And as a dad and having a little girl, like I had to shoot My Little Pony, so I had to learn how to style the hair there. So you know what, that actually came into practice at home when, you know, you see the Barbies and the, you know, the hair is like, you know, out to here and it's like glued, like God knows what they got in. So you get them clean and a little hairspray and you're brushing it this way and you're getting the curl in the end. And she's like, Dad, you do it so well. It's like, well, Daddy has to do this for a job. So I'm just, you know what I mean? But it's funny because it's just such a different thing. And it was so different from my time shooting packaging and food products for Nabisco.
Oh yeah. Just actually being around stuff that you enjoyed since a kid.
Yeah, it was just like awesome. And walking to the studio every day at the Cake Mix studio was just like, it was a dream. It was a dream. So anyone that loves toy photography or they're a creative artist and they want to get into design, definitely a cool company. If you can get in there full time, do it. Unfortunately, where I was in my time with a family and stuff, I couldn't really keep working contract work and get laid off and get brought back on. But I love the gig, and all the people there are great. You know, they were really great and creative team. And so for me to kind of get into Funko again was that like, well, I see these all the time, and that's kind of work, you know, and I like it. And if I was going to shoot a few things, so when I did the Funko thing, it just kind of came very natural. And I really just kind of fell in love with shooting the Funko Pop images. Like it just became a thing that I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a lot of fun. And again, COVID had a lot to do with that, I think. You know? And it really, I think COVID did a lot for toy photography. In my personal opinion, I think it really catapulted the whole genre quite a bit, because so many people were trapped, right? They were probably buying and collecting still, right? Because what else are you doing? And then with that time, I think people kind of like, well, I saw this guy do this thing on YouTube. Let me see if and I think a lot of people, including myself, was like, you know what? I have a ton of different cameras. And it just started out, I want to show someone how fun it could be to share their passions and be able to do it with a phone so they can. Because
one little challenge you did was cool.
And one of the things that was interesting is when I worked at Nabisco, we were doing what we called the wedding album, and it was the Craft Nabisco Food Communication Book. And that book was laying the guidelines of how to photograph food in a new way. And the reason why is we had the test kitchens next door, and they told us that people don't buy those recipe books as much because the pictures are so good. People look at that as they're in the checkout and decide to pass on it because they know they will never get it to look as good as that image. So that was a resounding message with us. Like, okay, maybe the chocolate cake with the layers in it shouldn't be perfect. When they cut that slice, there's drag marks, there's drips, there's crumbs on the plate. Maybe we have to not fake it to look real. So when we started to do that, we might leave in certain things that we would retouch out, make sure it's stylized so it didn't happen. We started adding crumbs and some imperfections. And those little things, we slowly saw how it changed the perspective of the consumer. And so it was a really great part because it was that project that we were working on as a corporate kind of new soapbox, right? New kind of rules and standards. And at that same time, we were switching from 8x10, 4x5 cameras to leaf camera backs and Hasselblads. So I could not have jumped in with a better photographer. His name was Bill Turin. At that time in that studio, like it was like walking in at the perfect time because I got to be right there at the cusp. And I already started using a 35 digital SLR when the early Canons had a D60. It was like the second DSLR, if not the first one, really. I think they had one other one before that, but I jumped on that. I started shooting so much because for me, it was the cost of slide film. I was always shooting with slide film, not neg film at all. Slide film. I felt like as a professional, I need to nail the exposure. There's no room for, well, I can print it, and no, I'm gonna get a C print done at a lab, and it's gonna be on point because I nailed it in the camera. So I was shooting chrome, and it was getting expensive to shoot it. And then I got the idea with a friend of mine that digital's coming, and I started seeing it in Nabisco, like in a big way in commercial. So I started adapting to that, and it was just really interesting how that switched over and to be a part of all that. And now, even when we see our shows that Star Wars puts out, to see how digital's affecting that in so many ways. I mean, you had the original shot on film, prequel shot digital. We've got the virtual volumes now.
Yeah.
What's the the deep fake stuff? I mean, what we can do now with our like even when the recent Boba Fett images, the Boba Fett retro reimagined, I just shot like a week or so ago. I had that background from Adobe, threw it through Comic Light, gave it that, kind of Liechtenstein, that pixelated, duotone look. I guess it's duotone look. So I had that, and I wanted to do that because when I photographed the others in that series that were retro series, I kind of did that. So I did that for that Boba Fett, and I used the AI to add the tentacles of the Sarlacc.
Oh wow!
That's like I was like I drew shape and tentacles and kept rehashing until I got one or two that I could work with. And I'm blown away what AI can do because if you can imagine it now as an artist, you can do it. And we're seeing that in the film and the TV shows are watched. It's only going to get more insane. Like, Tony just had the trailer we were talking about before we got on, the GTA 6. Dude, I don't play video games that often. I have all the Star Wars video games except for the most recent Jedi, was it not Fallen Order, Survivor. I didn't get that one yet because I haven't gotten past one of the levels on the original game. But that GT, I'm going to have to get that for my son. Just it looks ridiculous. The graphics look ridiculous.
I haven't seen the trailer for it just yet, so I'm assuming it's going to be just so realistic looking.
Yeah, I was jamming out to the Tom Petty song "Love Is a Long, Long Road" because of that trailer. It's banging, dude. It's pretty hype. So I'm excited, and I think more so I'm excited to see where we go with this kind of technology to help us with the shows we love, with the characters we enjoy. very happy that we can have Tamara Morrison reprising his role as Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also happy to see where we're going to go with that because his story's not done. He's part of the Mando universe now.
I would love to see them doing a, like, I don't know, a mini series of him, like um right after the prequels, where he, as a youngster learning to become a bounty hunter.
You get
You
some of
know,
that in Clone Wars. You do get some of that in Clone Wars.
yeah, but as a live action.
Yeah, because I would love to see a live action Aurora
Yeah.
Singh.
Or Sing, yeah.
That'd
That'd be
dude,
cool.
she's such a cool looking character.
Yes.
That would be great. I'd love to see that. And I'd love just to see more Fett, a lot more Fett. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got so many Fets here. I have my own small army. I have a Mandalorian army just of Fets, let alone all the other Mandalorians I've been trying to collect.
Do we have any comment?
We have great scene, but I don't think we have anything else. I don't know if people are dropping off. Who knows? But oh, you froze there, Eric. We didn't lose you, did we? We're waiting. I think Eric went to look at a comment and he's frozen now. Oh, so we lost Eric frozen in Carbonite, which is suiting since he's a Fett fan. Are we coming back? All right. Well, we'll stay tuned and hopefully Eric will get back here so that we could talk a little bit more about what's going on with movies that inspire the pop. Let's see. Give him another moment. Otherwise, we're just going to wrap that up. My signal went out. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here for this episode of Movies That Inspired the Pop. I know we went a little off topic at the end talking about career experiences and stuff like that, but hey, that's just what happens. But hey, it was a great night. It was a fun talk. Got to see a great Funko Pop, a great scene, one of the most iconic characters. If he's not the number one, he's usually someone's number two in Funko collectibles. Now, if we didn't get to have Eric tell you where you can find him, so let me tell you where you can find him. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, SireSpeed_reviews. And his name's Eric, and he's got a great channel. He does all sorts of Star Wars content almost every other day. He's got something new. Even has a recent little segment he's doing on the show where he does some trivia and does original artwork sketches live, and then whoever wins gets the artwork. So if you haven't tuned into one of those, I know we almost had a conflict because he was shooting on Wednesdays, like kind of around the same time. So if you don't tune into Movies That Inspire the Pop and he has an episode, definitely pop over to his channel and check his work out. We've been calling him Mr. 1K because he recently just broke 1,000 subscribers. And congratulations to you, Eric, because you put in the grind and you're really doing some great work out there. And I think it shows. So again, thank you. I wish you could pop back on. Don't worry. I know you're sorry. Don't even worry about it, my brother. Don't even worry. But I was so happy to have you on, and we're about to wrap up anyway. So really, no harm, no foul, my friend. It was okay. I only wish I could have had like a carbonite thing when you froze. I could have and kind of didn't affect. That would have been fun, but I'm not that slick, especially on the fly like that. So anyway, maybe in the future I could come up with something like that. That'll be fun. But until then, may the force be with you, folks, and have a great holiday season. And if you're tuning into my channel, Poptography, we have holiday images coming out. We have a new image dropping this Friday. So tune in. And for more movies that inspire the pop, tune in. Usually they're Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. So tune back in. Hope you enjoyed this. And if you obviously couldn't catch us on the live, please check out the replay because a lot of fun. So again, thank you very much. And may the force be with you.